Okay, so what are we doing here tonight? Tonight we're going to unbox, okay? And then I got a surprise guest. I'm going to show you a monkey man, an animatronic monkey. My wife hates it, but that's okay. We're going to see if you guys hate it too. So stick around. We got a lot of cool things going on. So we're going to do the unboxing first, okay? I only opened up the box. I didn't actually open up the package. I wanted to show you this. I want the map you have. You can get that. It's a tapestry. Now, I've had that for 3 years, but I purchased it on Amazon. So there you have it. The historic, well, we also have the Adams time chart, but we don't have that up for sale or anything right now. I should have, but we're not going to show it off. I want to show you this, okay? By the way, as a way of introduction, my name's John Adolphi with the Lost World Museum. We ask the provocative and important question, where do we come from, apes, aliens, or Adam? Today we're going to talk a little bit about coal, and you're not going to fall asleep. I absolutely guarantee you're not going to fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. All right, so let's take a look at this. I purchased this on eBay. I have not seen it yet. This is a piece of coal, but it's not. It's got fossils in it, and it's really old. Not the coal necessarily, but where this was found in Pennsylvania, I believe, in a coal mine. And they've got this laminated, well, let me show it to you. And let me just open this up and let me show it to you. Now, coal is really interesting. And the reason why it's interesting is because science will tell you one thing. Science. I'm just talking about the science that we know today. The science of 200 years ago would say that coal, and let me show you a piece of coal. Coal was produced very quickly under very extreme conditions during the worldwide flood of Noah. And this is where people not jump off, but get really, really upset when talking about the possibility, at least let me just put it that way, that there was a worldwide flood some 4,400 years ago. I know that doesn't sound like that was too long ago. Considering we're so used to everything being tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years. But this is a special piece of coal. And hey guys, I didn't turn it off, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have guests on tonight. So forgive me if I don't, respond to you. Let's see how this goes. Maybe I will a little later on. Let's do the fun stuff here, and then we'll see about perhaps inviting someone on tonight. Okay, so here it is, and this is the old thing on the back. I haven't read it yet, but it tells where this was found. Now, what's interesting about this is, look at this. Let me get my flashlight. You're going to be able to see fossil impression. Now, this has been shellacked to preserve it, but check that out, man. Check that out. Can you see that? Can you see what's embedded? What fossilized in the coal? It tells you in part what coal is made up of. Can you see that? Let me see if I get it from the other side. Hold on, let me see if there's anything on the other side. Nope, I don't see anything here, but right here. It's a fern. Right there. There we go. That's better. This is coal, friends. Coal, according to evolution, is 300, it could be give or take, but 300 million years old. And it takes a long time to form. Let's just give me the benefit of the doubt. If there was such a thing as a worldwide flood, the conditions of a catastrophic flood that lasted an entire year with volcanism, earthquakes, tsunamis, and water above every mountain. And now, again, the mountains were not as tall as they are today. All right, so they think that the mountains were no more than 7,000 or 8,000 feet. And the water covered the highest mountain, let's just say it was 8,000 feet, by 22 and a half feet. 22 and a half feet above the highest peak. sloshing around for 5 months before it started to come down. So what kind of conditions or what kind of aftermath would have taken place? Listen, all you got to do is look at Mount St. Helens. They have a really good documentary on Amazon Prime from a creationist perspective on what happened with that 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens, but more so what happened afterwards. There were 200-foot canyons created where there wasn't before because of all the debris and then the water rushing down. And you even see strata or layers in the canyon, the 200-foot canyon. And that was created in, I don't know if it was hours or weeks, but it really doesn't matter. The point is it was very, very quick. And now it's hardening or has hardened. Noah and his wife and 3 children, his sons and his daughters, 8 people survived the worldwide flood. I know a lot of people, Solar, a lot of people say that. I hear it over and over and over again. There was no. What's really interesting is that I don't think worldwide flood is really on anybody's mind. And I don't know why anyone would immediately say it didn't exist unless the minority who went to college and learned geology or biology, who are steeped in evolution, would then come to that conclusion during their studies and then say there was no worldwide flood. I find it very interesting, though, that we hear that a lot, and I wonder just exactly from the masses' standpoint what they feel or believe about it. Can we see the fossil a bit closer? You sure can. This is coal, friends. Coal. And that is a fossil fern impression in coal. Now, does this mean that there was a worldwide flood just looking at this? No, not necessarily. But this would result from a global flood. And if those conditions that I shared with you just a moment ago were that intense for a brief period of time, then do we have any other evidences that this can form quickly? And the answer is yes. The problem is in nature, none of this stuff is really going on. So you have to go to the labs to replicate the conditions that took place during the flood. And they've taken wooden dowels and they have placed them in a pressurized, mineralized water in an argon furnace, and within months, wood turns to a type of charcoal. So yeah, you can replicate this quickly. And the argument that it can only be done in the lab is only stating that the conditions in the lab are replicating the conditions during the flood. Again, there's no coalification going on right now. Not really. Not really. I mean, can you dig anything up? A swamp, as they say, is what caused it? Can you dig up a swamp, an old swamp, and find it half coalized? You'd be very hard pressed to find that. It just doesn't exist. Yeah, I understand. And I don't know, John, I'll be honest with you. I don't know when they're done with that wooden dowel where it lies on that coal scale. The thing is, though, is that it solidifies, it changes the nature of it. Maybe that isn't proof enough. However, let me show you something else. Now, this is going to be, some of you are going to roll your eyes at this, and I get that. This is a replica. The original is in a museum in Texas. And that right there, my friends, is an iron cup that allegedly, and I'll tell you the story, was found in coal. In 1912, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Kennard and a friend, a coworker, was working at a power plant in Oklahoma, and they were breaking up a large chunk of coal, and an iron pot came out of it. Now, they don't have the 2 coal pieces, but they still have the iron pot. And the iron pot is about that size. This is actually a second generation replica of the actual pot itself. Let's just say that the story is true. Just humor me. What is an iron pot doing in coal? 5,500 years ago, Tubal-Cain, it states in Genesis, was a metallurgist, an artificer, they say, of iron and brass. So 5,500 years ago, or 3,500 BC, he worked with iron. If Tubal-Cain created this in his shop, let's just say, or someone like him created it in their shop 5,500 years ago, and there was a worldwide flood 4,400 years ago, then conceivably an iron object could get entrapped in coal. And that's what they found. That's not the only thing they found in coal. And I don't have the Newton Bell. We're going to be doing an interview next week on the Newton Anderson Bell. Thank you very much, Joshua, for that. And we hope to show you more. Now, let me show you something else. Here is a leaf. All right? This is a fossil leaf. If you were to ask anyone, again, thank you, Josh. If you were to ask anyone how old this is, they would say millions of years. Nobody has a problem with that. If I was to show them this or this, and this is stone, that's not a leaf paste into something or acrylic. That is in stone. This was created in the lab under the conditions of the worldwide flood in 48 hours. Fossils formed fast. That's my theory, at least. And we see that it can. And I'm saying this right here wasn't formed over long periods of time, a long time ago. This was formed quickly, not too long ago, and became fossilized very quick. Which one looks man-made? This right here is man-made. This was done in a laboratory, utilizing the conditions that they believe that were there during the worldwide flood. And we have fossilized. This isn't art. This isn't anything that's been painted on. These were actually leaves that were put in a matrix and then put in under extreme pressure and then heated with mineralized water. So there you have it. The same conditions. My contention is that they were there in order to be able to do this. How many fossilized leaves do you see going on midstream right now? You don't. That should be very curious. Why don't we see not fossils today being formed, but fossils that are in midstream of being formed? We do a lot of digging in the ground. We don't find that. But what we do find is fossils already ready-made. So, same old nonsense, you never learn. I guess not. But think about this for a second. Where does evolution actually lead? Most people that go to college, whether they had a Christian background or not, wind up being agnostic or atheists when they get done learning all of this intellectual, not all science, only science in a couple of different disciplines. The majority of science doesn't need evolution in order to produce anything. Matter of fact, you don't need evolution, the knowledge of evolution, biological or geological, I'll just use that as a term, to create the microwave. People say, oh, you don't like science, you shouldn't even use your microwave. No, the microwave was never created with any of that science. Paleoanthropology, he's studying the monkey looking half-looking human faces, that's a science. That's questionable. Paleontology, great. We can identify things, but when you start to tell you how old they are and how long they took to form, then we're talking about two different scenarios, creationism, evolution. And they both have the same evidence, just different conclusions. But when you learn this stuff, where does it lead? I'll tell you exactly where it leads. It undermines anyone looking for the future. and even the here and now. That's what it does. So you can be self-satisfied with this idea that we came from almost nothing to where we are today over the course of 1 billion years. You can be satisfied with that. I get it. But those of you that are on the fence or haven't given it much thought, understand that there are two worldviews, one of which was the popular worldview that we're talking about here today up until 200 years ago. Somehow, I guess we got smarter. But it leads to atheism. So, all right. So you're saying it's great science unless it disagrees with my worldview. I'm saying that there are two basic worldviews. Naturalism and let's call it supernaturalism. Okay? From there, the data, if you want to use this as an example, is interpreted in two different ways. One is a very short period of time with a brief, intense period of time over 1 year that created all the fossils and the strata that we see. And that's one. Or the other is that it's been slow going right from the very beginning, and that this has all been created not supernaturally, but naturally, on its own. Meaning that whatever forces are behind it, and the forces are really nothing more than natural forces that somehow got it to where we're on TikTok communicating. We're very sophisticated. I mean, just the cell in your finger is very sophisticated and very complicated. But that doesn't seem to play a part in all this, the complication part. It's not supposed to make us stop and think. Well, perhaps it should. Let me just say that. All right. Okay. Now we're going to have a little bit of fun. And we'll talk a little bit more about these things, and I'll answer some of your questions. I've got some more things to show you. Those of you who just joined us, thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at Mr. Monkey Man. Mr. Monkey Man is going to be... Did we come from an ape-like creature? Let me turn this on. Now, for those of you that see our goal up there, where is it, right? Somewhere we have a goal. If you guys want to contribute to the goal, and what we do, we don't really make a lot of money at all on this, and we're good with that. But we'll also allow you to share in this. Thank you. All right, are you done? Okay, he's done. So if anyone wants me to touch the monkey's chin or his top of his head, he'll go off. I'm going to show you some more cool things. All right. I don't know why he's going. I just got him, so. Notice. All right, I guess you're not going to help us to do any contest things, so. Here we've got all right. I thought this was a good idea. I'm going to be turning them off, but before I do, I'll just go ahead and do one thing here.
You just turned them off.
Come on. Oh. All right, let's see. We'll take a guess. Why not? We'll try it. All right. I don't know if that's going to turn out or not. But Mr. Monkey Man, we're going to just set you to the side for right now. But thank you very much for joining us tonight. Okay. For those of you that want to get cozy with us, I invite you to text us 315-509-9075. And if somebody wants to write that in the comments section, I appreciate it. What this means is that, like when just before we went on live, we texted 266 people who are on this text group. And if you text this number, only good in the United States and Canada, just say, "Hey, John," and I'll say, "Hey, Bob. Hey, Mary. Welcome to the text group." You'll get about One text every other day, every third day, something like that. That's if you want to cozy up and you like what you're hearing today, okay? Obviously, if you disagree with this, it's just going to be a wasted text for you to get another thing. You don't want to do that. But there it is. And if somebody could put this in the comments section, if somebody did already, I appreciate it. 315-509-9075. Thank you very much, City Woke Chicken. And it is free, Free, free. So just text John, me, and say, hey. And I'll say, hey back. Welcome. Okay, let's take a look at a couple more things. This is what I was going to... here's two shells. These are nautilus shells. What's the difference between the two of them? One is a fossil that is allegedly to be hundreds of millions of years old. And this was taken out of the water recently. Now, when you try to use something like this to say, look, no change, therefore evolution is false, evolution has already got the answer. That is that it already evolved perfectly for the environment. And it didn't need to change because it found its basically homeostasis, you know. But the thing is that you can't find predecessors to any of this. Try to find a predecessor to an ant. They say, well, the ant came from a winged creature. Yeah. And guess what? It had mandibles and it had a segmented body. But they can't find anything that predates an ant. It looks like an ant, no matter how far back you go. Sometimes it has wings. Sometimes it doesn't. But it's still an ant. And it still had 6 legs, segmented body, and mandibles. All right, what else do we have? Let me show you this. People ask the question, let me see, invite, somebody wants to come on, I'll try to do it. We have our mic plugged in, but sometimes I can't hear the individual. If somebody wants to come on and share something or whatever, did I invite this person or did this person want to come on? Okay. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. So what I have right here is from a water pipe in Karlovy Vary in the Czech Republic. This is an iron pipe that went through the city underneath the roads, and that is aragonite. It's a calcite type stone, and it's 2.5 inches, and it formed over a 80-year period. 80 years to form 2.5 inches. So, let me see. Tell me you don't... You know, I'll tell you what, Atomic. Share something without being belittling. I'll tell you something. The reason why I ask you to do that. Because everybody, I would say 97 to 99%, and I don't believe that's hyperbole, over the last 20 years, whenever they don't agree with something, they have a tendency, I mean all the time, friends, of using either intellectualism as a weapon of intimidation, or belittlement, or insults, rather than to just, I disagree because of this. You rarely see that. And if you do, usually there's some kind of barb or sting in it. And let me just say this, and I'll just say it briefly. Usually in an argument, when you have two opposing sides, thank you, Eddie, when you have two opposing sides, the one side that uses force, whether it be verbal, emotional, intellectual, force, that could be insults, it could be belittlement, sarcasm to a greater degree. Usually they have the weaker position. Now, if you stack evolution against creationism in this day and age, much of creationist science, so to speak, is really understood and held by a few versus the evolutionary side. They've had 200 years of creating some of the greatest minds involved in substantiating it. So they in an argument, so to speak, they could easily win in the respect that they're very well prepared, very intelligent. They got it all figured out. So, you could almost say that they win. But yet, they are at times angry or using force in their argument, the belittlement, which means in my mind, if you had nothing else to go on, nothing, not logic, not evidence, nothing else to go on, you would come to the conclusion, or could come to the conclusion, that they have the weaker position, no matter how intelligent, no matter how logical they may sound. It's very telling, and you'll see it over and over and over again. You may be seeing it right now, I don't know. It's everywhere. Everywhere. So, what's this? This is 80 years of accumulation. And it's rock, friends, rock. The alluvial rock, or the sedimentary rock that we see in the strata, was put down very quickly. And it was classified. It wasn't epochs of 10, 20 million years of an environment. No. It was the entire environment of the earth being swooned about like in a big, huge tank of water with all sorts of different types of soil and sand and rock and bones and animals and fish. Everything was just, and then it settled down. And of course, the sea creatures are going to settle first. Did you know that 95% of all fossils are sea creatures? They're going to be at the bottom naturally. So this was about classification and the more intelligent animals trying to find higher ground during that 6 weeks of rain. There's two ways of looking at it. All I'm asking you is to consider or look into for yourself, if you're curious, what this other side is, and then compare and contrast. Truth never, ever, ever is hurt by honest investigation and contrasting and comparing objectively two of the really only worldviews that there is in regards to origins and our early Earth's history, geology and paleontology and anthropology and paleoanthropology, all the ologies when it comes to life. I am not a flat earther, no. That's not even a discuss. I haven't even looked into it just to even see what the arguments are about it, because it's just no. Not how argumentation works, but okay. That's fine. I'm just glad you're here. I'm glad everybody's here. So, how about a couple of questions, and then I guess I'll shuffle off to Buffalo. Logic bad. You know, it's funny. There was a professor of zoology that became a creationist, and he said that just because something is logical doesn't mean it's correct. Just because something appears a certain way doesn't necessarily mean it's right. And you could say the same thing about this. But I'm telling you, folks, when you ask the question, where did we come from? Other than the alien theory, which is a minority theory, you have the Adam theory and the ape theory. That's it. Read Genesis. I don't know how many of you people out there have actually sat down and read the book that Moses wrote, just the first few chapters. And then in a quiet moment, with as little prejudice as possible, just ask yourself, is it true? Is this true? Am I being dealt a bunch of baloney on the History Channel or on the National Geographic, or my college professor on geology or anthropology? Am I? Am I being fed a worldview as opposed to real science? Creationism can use the same evidence as evolutionists can, but two different conclusions. The evidence isn't solely the property of evolution. It's not. Geology, same thing. It's not. So, there you have it. Thank you, Dabney, for sharing that. Just to let you know, the earth is in the book of Genesis. It might strengthen your faith. Flat earth is in there. I don't know how that strengthens your faith, quite honestly. But it's, to me, that is not even it's a non-topic as far as this flat earth thing. I think it's kind of strange, weird. It's not something I debate people on because I don't know enough about it, because I don't even want to know. Am I being closed-minded? That's okay. I'm not a geologist, but I blast rock daily, so learn a few things over 10 years. Okay, just to let you know, the earth. those who work with rock, that blast rock and get into the earth, sometimes find interesting things. We started this program, and I'll show it to you again. I just got this in the mail, and this is a piece of coal. And look there in the coal, what's embedded in it. Do you see that? Here, let me get up close. That right there, my friends, is a fern. There we go. And this was taken out of a coal. See this? Look at this. It's got this thing on the back explaining about it. It's 1878. This was taken out of a coal mine. So cool. All right, you guys are awesome. I'm going to get going for now. So I've got about 1,000 videos here on TikTok. You're welcome to watch them. If you want to see long form, head over to YouTube, just Lost World Museum on YouTube, and enjoy the videos that we have created there. If this is your thing and you want to explore this further. Thank you, Martin, for the rose. Appreciate it. You guys, thank you, Mortar. You guys have a good evening. All of you, those who agree, disagree, the trolls, love you. Glad you were here. And you take it easy. All right. John Adolphi with the Lost World Museum, who loves to ask the question, where did we come from? Apes, aliens, or Adam? Have a good night.